Hey guys, Angel here. Super excited about this video. Why do I always say I'm super excited about this video? It's so funny because my daughters always laugh at me because they know that whenever they press play on one of my videos, they always mock me and say, "Hey guys, it's Angel and I'm so excited." But I really am really excited and super excited about all these videos, about just for the technology alone, and being able to pop open my laptop and look in this camera and talk to people literally all over the world. Like, that is freaking exciting to me. And I love you guys so much because I feed off of your energy. I love your comments. I love your questions. I love all your messages. I just love you guys. So, this video came from a call that I got from a woman a couple days ago. She found my website and she called my 800 number, and she told me that she was thinking about becoming a life coach, but she feels as though there are too many life coaches. And so, you know me, I think that if one person is thinking that, then there are several 100,000 million other people thinking the same exact way. Now, let me just say this. As far as, do I think that there are too many life coaches? Saying that there are too many life coaches is just like saying there's too many doctors, there's too many teachers, there's too many grocery stores, there's too many cars, there's too many welders, there's too many construction workers, there's too many lawn guys or whatever. Like, there's not too many of anything. If you have a desire to do, have, or be something, it's in you for a reason. I remember back in middle school, I'm talking middle school, where I was 11, 12, and 13 years old, my friends would always come to me for advice. I mean, always, like all the time. And I remember, if you guys remember, like writing notes and like folding it in a certain way that it kind of looked like an envelope and you would peel it open. Like, I would always get so many of them, and they would be filled with questions about whatever my friends were going with. And I would write them back and tell them how I felt about it. And so, obviously, at that time, I had no idea what a life coach was or whatever. I was just doing what came naturally to me. And so it wasn't until I opened my store in 2007, and then I closed my store in 2009. It wasn't until around 2008 that, being in my store, there would be hundreds of women came through the doors of my store. And a lot of them, yes, they would come in to shop, but a lot of them, I'm going to say like 60% of the women that came through my store, after they were done shopping, they would sit down and we would have a conversation, and they would just be asking me questions and getting advice. And it got to the point where, while I was working with that one woman, or speaking with that one woman, in the back of my mind, I started praying that I hope and wish and pray nobody comes in the door right now while I'm talking to this woman, because I didn't want to break that atmosphere. I didn't want to mess up the flow. And so that was something that came naturally to me. Giving advice became something that was so natural to me. And some very smart and educated women would come through my store, and by the end of us having this conversation, they would literally walk out of my store with a new perspective, with a better idea, or with just a different way of looking at what it was that they were going through. And so that's when I started to realize and started doing some research, like, wait a minute, people actually get paid to do this. Like, why not turn this into a business? And even still at that time, I had no idea what a life coach was. Like, I saw Ian Levanzan on TV. I saw Tony Robbins. Like, I knew that they were motivational speakers, but I did not know the term life coach until about 2008. Now, that was something that came, and obviously still comes very easy to me, is giving advice. Now, In order to become a life coach, no, you do not need to be certified. You do not need a certification in order to become a life coach. Do I think that you should? Not necessarily do I think that you should get a certification, because what I believe, let me tell you this one story. There was this lady that I used to go into, I live here in Baltimore, and there was the grocery store Food Line. Well, there was a store right next to Food Line, and it was a floral shop, and it was this woman there. And I remember, I lived in Baltimore all my life, but I would go to Food Line when I lived in Reisterstown. Now you guys know that I've moved. Anyway, I know I can just chit chat. I'm getting better at that. But so I would go into Food Line, and I would notice this woman, and she was a heavy woman. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think she weighed like close to 300 pounds. And then after going to Food Line over and over and over again, I started to notice this woman was disappearing. Like, she had lost over 150 freaking pounds. And so one day I was leaving the grocery store, and I parked my car, got back out of my car, and I went in to the floral shop, and I asked her, I was like, what did you do to lose your weight? My God, you look amazing. And so she told me what she did to lose her weight. And I said, have you ever thought about helping other women do this? And she said, yes, I did. I went online, and I realized that, becoming a certified life coach, it was too much money, and I couldn't afford to do it at the time. And I couldn't afford to do it. And so I said to her, do you have any before pictures from when you were your 300 plus pounds, however much it was that she weighed? And she said, yes. And I said, do you have any current pictures of yourself now that you have lost and released all of that weight? And she said, yes. I said, well, honey, that is your certification. I have never had anybody ask me, am I certified? People want results. If there is something that you are really, really good at, and there is something that you take your weight, for instance, if you were 300 pounds and now you are 150 pounds, to me, that is your certification. Now, do I believe that you need training? The answer is absolutely yes. I do believe that you need training. Now, when I first started out and hung my hat as a life coach, I didn't get any training. And I'm telling you, I probably wore my clients out, because there is a system, there is a strategic way to coach someone into their greatness, where I was just telling them what to do and like, I wasn't necessarily coaching them in the way that a coach is supposed to coach. I was telling them what to do, giving them advice. I was doing most of the talking, where in a coaching relationship, the client is the one that should be doing most of the talking, where the coach is simply there to ask the powerful questions, and the questions to get their client to come to their own answers. Now, consulting, that's something different. That is when you are giving your advice, and I do consulting for small business owners, but that's totally different from coaching. So I do believe that if your friends keep coming to you asking you for advice, and you see that they're taking your advice and their lives are becoming better because of you, because they keep coming to you, and you naturally want to see people do good, you naturally have an ability to listen, because let me tell you something, listening to people is an art. Active listening to people is an art. How many times have you been in a conversation, and not 2 minutes later in that conversation, someone turns that conversation and brings it back to them? Like, if you say, oh yeah, I went to the store and blah, 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 and a couple seconds later, that person is saying, oh yeah, well, I went to the store last week, and girl, let me tell you what happened. Most people do that, but if you naturally know how to just really listen to somebody and be attentive, and you're able to shut everything out and really tune into what that person is saying, and not only what that person is saying verbally, but also what that person is not saying. That's when great coaching comes into play. When you can really hear and listen and pay attention to what the people what your clients really are not saying, that's when your coaching really becomes effective and you really start to see change in other people's lives. Because a lot of people want to kind of talk surface stuff. And you being their coach, your job is to go in and get to the root of the problem, where a lot of their friends and families are not, number one, they're not trained to do that. And number two, they just simply don't know. They're taking what you're saying or that person is saying at face value and not really digging beneath the surface. So are there too many life coaches? Heck to the no. If you feel that God is calling you to be a life coach, and this is something that people keep telling you, girl, you know, you're really good with your advice, or your phone is always ringing, or people are always shooting you text messages or emails, and you've thought, man, and you've looked at other people and said, man, they're getting paid to do this, and here I am getting nothing, but people are constantly coming to me for coaching. Consider becoming a life coach. Now, obviously, like I said in the beginning, I went for a whole year without training, without any kind of training, without any kind of certification. And then in 2000, I believe it was 2009 or 2010, that I went through my coach training and certification program. And I went through that through the CAP Institute. And that is the awesome, dynamic Miss Valerie Burton. So if you guys know her, Google her. That's who I got my certification through and my training through, the CAP Institute. And the CAP Institute stands for Coaching and Applied Psychology, I believe. And make sure I'm right. Google that. But that's the training that I went through. There are a gazillion trainings, but one thing about sitting under someone and getting training from them, make sure that your personality kind of matches that. Make sure that you guys click in a way. Don't go through somebody's training that is to you dry and boring and like, oh my God, I can't wait for this training to be over. Make sure you link up to someone that speaks to your soul, someone that resonates with you. So, are there too many life coaches? Absolutely freaking not, guys. If that is your calling, if that is what you believe that God is calling you to do it. Get your training, get your certification if that's what you feel that you need to do. And let me just share this one tip. And then if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you guys can post them below, obviously. But the one thing about coaching that kind of tripped me up for a long time was finding my niche. Because I naturally like to help people, I just wanted to help everybody. And trying to help everybody will drive you crazy. So in becoming a life coach, you really have to hone in on who your client is. Who is it that you would like to work with? Maybe you are a single mom raising children and you've been able to successfully do that. Maybe that's your target market. Or take myself, for instance. I love business. I love helping solo entrepreneurs make money doing what they love to do, or making multiple streams of income in doing what they love to do. So that was the only tricky kind of part in becoming a life coach for me, was honing in on my niche, because I do like to, I want to just help the whole entire world. But when you find your niche, that does not mean that you can't help other people. It just means that your marketing becomes a whole lot easier for you. So guys, I absolutely love you. Go out there, become a life coach. If people are coming to you, honey, start getting paid for it. I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.